why were you called in for this table? What was the problem, and how did they hear about you?
Well, they heard about us through someone else in the city
So like a
that there
people
was,
that has the same that had the same problem that was solved.
yes, I believe it actually came from the Venetian.
Oh yeah, so the Venetian has in-house people that do it all the time.
Hmm.
So
Yes,
yeah, so they have a high trust for Antioch because it works over there a lot.
yes,
Cool. And
yeah.
so you went.
And this particular table didn't have a problem with etching and staining prior to us doing it, but other tables did, and they were consistently replacing the PPF film or just having the tables refinished in-house. But even with doing that, they were still losing the room for at least a day.
Right, because it takes a while to mask and take the, or they have to take the table out downstairs and then there's no table there.
Yes.
Yeah. So they were either refinishing the tables or replacing it with the film on a regular basis. And not that particular table, but other tables. And so this table was basically a newer table, and they were just making sure that the anti-etch was going to work for what they've been told. They weren't expecting it to work because they've been disappointed so many times, right?
Yes. And they also knew that like this particular table had been refinished several times already.
Oh, so it already had been having the etching issues, but now they're making sure that that particular table is never going to have etching issues again and never have to be refinished again.
Yes.
So what do you think is the long term here? Do you think that they're going to want to watch this table over time, or are they going to forget about this table? And we've done demos in that particular hotel over the years, and they haven't really pulled the trigger. Do you think that that's going to happen this time?
Well, I would hope so. I mean, I don't know how long they're going to continue the repeated cycle of refinishing, replace the film, have the rooms down for a day. At some point, they're going to have to come to a conclusion of, okay, this is beginning too much. We're having additional workers in the casino, in the hotel, working when we can just do a one-time solution. It really boils down to the powers that be getting the correct information and being able to make a decision. So I would hope that in the long term, yes, that's what they would do.
Yeah, and what you were trying to do here is give them a demo and prove that Anti-Etch was their solution. Now they have to figure it out, actually put it through its paces and see the value in it. Maybe that's something where we have to do some follow up or something like that.
Yes.
How was the table done? So, in terms of the seamless solution, you were in and out of there in a few hours.
Yeah, it took me about three to 3.5 hours from start to finish.
So, if you were
And
gonna work in a hotel like this, you could turn the room over in half a day
conceivably, they could have no downtime in the room.
and never have
Check-ins at 4.
future. Yeah.
Yeah, check-ins at 4, check-outs at 11. If they let me in there at 11:30, I could be out of there by 3:30. And because anti-etch has no VOCs, no smell, and it's ready to use as soon as we're done, they could have someone check in that room a half hour after I'm done.
And because of the efficiency, they would always have, not always, but many times they would have rooms available earlier for you as well. So you could conceivably do a couple of rooms a day, three or four maybe, even with a larger crew. They could get their rooms done quicker because they have, from what I understand, this hotel has 3,500 rooms or something like that, right?
Yes, and most definitely
Yeah.
they could do that.
So even with three rooms a day, it would take 1,000 days.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and one of the things that I did talk to him about when I was there is, they have replacement tables, like downstairs in their warehouse.
Right.
So conceivably, because sometimes they'll have them just take the table out, so they can put a new one in, but they only have like 7 to 10 of those tables. So conceivably, they could take the table out of the room, put it downstairs. We can anti-etch it, and they could reinstall it.
Yeah, so basically you could do 7 to 10, depending on how many spare tables they have. You could do 7 to 10 a day and get through the job much quicker and give them the value that they're looking for. They probably have
And
other stuff
zero
to do too.
and zero downtime.
Yeah, zero downtime and
That's the most important thing to them. Is not even so much how the table looks, is the downtime. They don't want the rooms out of service.
right.
And so Now they do put rooms in service that have etch marks because they can't get to it and refinish it. And the house cleaning and those departments aren't always the best about saying, hey, this table's messed up, we got to refinish it.
And this is a lot of the reason why a lot of these hotels are moving towards non-natural products, away from marble and away from some of these surfaces, because they don't have this kind of problems. But from what I understanding, they don't like them. They don't like the quartz. They don't like the
Yeah,
other surfaces. They just so they're
they're losing the elegance
yeah, it's
when they take
sterile,
when
right?
when when you have someone that goes and rents a room at one of these high-end hotels. Usually those people live in a home that has high quality materials.
Right.
They don't want to go pay 800 to, however many thousand a night to have a room that has manufactured quartz in it. They want the same level of quality that they live with when they go to a place like that.
Or greater quality even.
Yeah.
Right? So Antioch has allowed a lot of Las Vegas hotels, including many of the ones that we're working on, and in to move away from some of these sterile quartz and porcelains and things like that, and back into the natural, elegant materials like marble, onyx, marble, onyx, even some travertines. I mean, we're seeing a lot of these stones going in now that can be protected, maintain their elegance, yet not have any issues when it comes to the liquids, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's what they're, and I'm seeing a lot of onyx. Like a lot of the estimates I'm doing right now for other casinos for future projects, a lot of them are onyx. There's some Calcutta marble in there, but I would say probably 30 to 40% of them are onyx at this point.
Yeah, that's like it's almost like a semi-precious stone, translucency. You can shine light through it, and I can
Yeah,
see
the
that.
one the one that I recently did at the VIP check-in, like when you turn the light on, that material lights itself up when the lights are on in the room. It's not underlit underneath it, but when you turn that on, like the material itself lights up because it's onyx.
Yeah, it's a beautiful material.
hmm And I think that a lot of them are going to that because marble, even some of the best marbles, they look a little dated sometimes. But the onyx looks very, very new. It looks like a new, different material.
Yeah, even though it's one of the older styles or older used materials, it's just kind of coming back into style. I mean, from the
Yeah, and over
yeah,
over the last 20
cool,
years, it, or maybe 30 years, it's been used less and less. And
right?
now over this last 5 years, it's starting to be used more and more.
Yeah. So getting back to this table, were there any issues they had to overcome when doing this table? To me, it looks like a pretty straightforward project.
Yeah, no, it was very straightforward. No real issues at all.
From a grit standpoint, you did all the standard grits. You started at 500 and moved all the way to orange, and then
500, 600, 800, blue, orange, compound.
you went straight to compound. It looks like the compound finish is just beautiful. I love the compound finish on a darker material like that because I think it's harder, and I think it gives the table a little bit more resilience. Sometimes it can look a little bit too shiny, but the way this table looks perfect, like a perfectly polished material.
Yeah, and I think at the casino, it can probably never be too shiny.
Yeah, I'm sure the CEO, when he ran his hand across it, he loved it.
Yeah,
And how are
absolutely.
they going to maintain this table now? How would you recommend that they maintain a table like this?
I recommend that they use isopro alcohol 50/50 with water.
Is that something that they can easily obtain, or is it is it something that they have to make adjustments to their processes? Is
So
it?
at the casino, they're very, very, very picky about the products they allow the cleaners to use. But the thing about the isopro alcohol is number one, it's safe. Number two, it's sanitary. It's not going to hurt anybody. So they don't have a problem implementing that into their cleaning process. It is there. You do run into, a few people there that are like, well, we don't know, is it good enough or this or that. But once you give them enough information, they understand. Okay, yeah, this is completely safe to use. And the other thing it's really good at is any like body oil marks people put lotion on, things like that.
Right.
So any of the, suntan lotion is a big one here. So any of that stuff, if it does leave like an oil mark, the ice pro alcohol takes it off immediately.
Yeah, not just on Antioch, but on all the other surfaces too. They can clean
Yeah.
glass and other things, so it might help them in the long run cut down
Hmm.
on their costs, cleaning costs. As long as they use microfiber cloth, they could probably use another cleaner and get away with it, right?
They could. The problems with the other cleaners is if they don't wipe all the cleaning solution off, it's going to leave streak marks.
Yeah. So if there's anything in it that leaves residues behind, and they don't use a microfiber cloth to buff it all off, it'll it,
Yeah.
it'll build up like it does like on a window or something where you see streak marks and things like that.
Yeah, that's where with the alcohol is going to dissipate.
Yeah, and it cuts everything off.
It's not going to dry. It's going to disappear when it dries.
All right. Looks like a very rewarding job. Hopefully it continues to to move in that direction, right? In
Yeah, let's hope.
that particular hotel and others.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to talk about with regard to the project?
No, I think we've covered everything.